Man, I tell you what, we got another one of these Roger Dykes Just Sayin YouTube presentations. This is a big deal, Roger.
Of course it is.
You know, I was over at your offices there in your home today and had a chance to visit with you for a little bit.
And was I honored or what?
I nearly couldn't get a parking place over there. You had people waiting before me and waiting after me. I had to work my way through to get out the front door.
Well, that's what happens when the bill collectors know where you live.
Oh, we got a power-packed program today.
I certainly hope so.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. We sent a camera crew out to where your office is there in your home and took some photographs. Oh, it's big, Roger. It's very big. It's a big technical step forward for this special presentation here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, our listeners deserve this, and our viewers deserve this. I mean, they deserve the very best.
Speaking of which, you talk about the very best. You know, we had some scuttlebutt on the last one of your shows. I keep trying to say podcast.
I know, it's rough getting it switched.
We have stepped forward to YouTube.
That's right.
Where the big money's at.
Yeah.
And Roger, you know, we got some comments on our jackalope that had been added to our set here. And we, you know, I'm okay, a little bit como sa, you know, not everybody was as excited about it as we were to be able to add the jackalope to our set. So we agreed. There was an executive level meeting and we all agreed, well, we just won't mention that anymore. And
which you've already broken the rule.
I think they have expected the jackalope to be taken off the set, but nobody showed up and did that.
Ooh.
I didn't know what else to do. Showtime rolled around and, well, there the jackalope is.
Well, I tell you what, for this particular broadcast, why don't we just not mention it?
Okay, we will agree then to not mention the jackalope that is clearly here on the set with us.
I would like for it to be noted that so far I have not.
What I'm concerned about, and it's legitimate concern. A lot of people may be watching this YouTube presentation, the Roger Dykes Just Sayin program, for the very first time. And they may be saying to themselves, what the heck is a jackalope doing on the set? So I didn't know if I should explain it all and start all over again or what, but anyway. Okay. Hey, you know what, Roger?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you realize it, but we got a big show, no kidding, today. And I think we ought to kick this thing off. What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely think so.
All right. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Michael Shawn, and welcome to Roger Dykes Just Sayin. Roger Dykes is a teacher and counselor with a master's degree in family counseling from Texas Tech University. He is the owner of UV Blake Records and has written a book titled Non-Persons Rolling in a Normal World. And there's a few more things. Roger was born with cerebral palsy. Now a quadriplegic, he has been confined most of his life to a wheelchair. And for a while, even enjoying a career as a stand-up or sit-down comedian and after-dinner speaker. Disabled? Yes, but you forget about that pretty quickly because Roger thrives. So here is Roger Dykes.
And that they're all tuning in and enjoying what's coming up.
And it's just the three of us on the show here.
Well, there's you and me and
The Jackalope. Yeah. Okay.
I told you I wasn't going to mention it.
All right. So let me tell you, Roger, we sent a camera crew out to your place because you and I talked after the last presentation. You said you had some stuff you wanted to share with the people. Let's, first of all, in case somebody's listening for the first time, let's explain this anyway. The foundation for this show is the fact that Roger Dykes, as you just heard, is completely disabled, has been all of his life, but he has some unique challenges over and above his disability. And this show has been about that. You pointed out something to me, Roger. You said everybody, and you said it 2 or 3 times, everybody either has someone who is disabled to one degree or another in their family, or they know someone who is disabled. And so the fact that people can be completely disabled affects not only the person that is disabled, but the family and friends around them. And so there are a lot of people who wonder, who don't think about it, but then you have pointed out, how do things get done? The big thing on this presentation, of course, is that you are being, and you're thankful for it, but you are in a system that was put together 30 or 40 years ago. And it's like going to the grocery store with a grocery budget and a grocery list that was put together 30 or 40 years ago and trying to come out the front door of the store with what you need. Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, just to say that, it's been proven now that Americans are much more physically fit than we've ever been in our entire life. Since the existence of the country in 1776. I doubt that they were even as physically fit as we are now. To illustrate the point, well, let's say 30 years ago, if you bought, say, $50 worth of groceries, you'd have a hard time picking that sucker up and getting it out of the store. Today, you can pick up you can buy $50 worth of groceries, and little old ladies can pick up that much.
One little plastic bag.
Right, which shows how physically fit we have become. Because we can carry out $50 worth of groceries now far easier than we could do it, say, 30 years ago. The
point is, and again, we know that you have often said that you are thankful and appreciate, but we as a nation, and certainly as the state of Texas, have chosen to help out the people, be responsible in a big way for people who are, particularly like you, fully disabled and locked in that wheelchair, so to speak, and need help, whether it's going to bed or going to the bathroom or getting out of bed or being able to have something to eat or something to drink. It is all provided by a caregiver that will come at intermittent times of the day and help you live in your home still. And I'm obviously very thankful for that. Were it not for programs like the one I'm on and others, many of us would be in nursing homes right now, as opposed to having the freedom of living in our own home where we're much more comfortable than we would be in any type of institutionalized living situation. So obviously we're very thankful for it. Well, but it does raise some issues in that we don't have, the state doesn't and isn't going to
provide 24-hour-a-day care, which that's understandable. I got it. And a lot of people in my situation have family, and the family comes in and takes a large part of the responsibility of the care, which is certainly what they should be doing. But there are individuals like me, I'm sure, who do not have the family around to pick up the pieces and come in at various times. As a result of that, it puts me in a situation of being here by myself several hours a day throughout the day. And there are things that come up that I cannot do without help.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be careful in that if I, for example, am writing on a piece of paper with a pen, which I can do, by the way, and I drop the pen, there's somebody here to pick it up. And so I've either got to stop whatever that project was until I can find somebody.
Or carry a pocket full of pens.
Right. And that's exactly what we do. Everything on my desk that I use, even to the remotes on the TV and other equipment, have duplicates sitting next to it, just in case I happen to bump it, knock it off, turn it over, or whatever the case may be. This is something we think about, plan for, and work through. And that's a large part of what we want to talk about today. But before we get into that, Michael, we must tell our viewers that it is extremely important for them to subscribe to this channel. We need them to hit the subscribe button. It will help our production dramatically if you're enjoying or even tolerating what you're currently watching.
And Lord knows we need production help.
Well, some of us do anyway. But more importantly, we need the subscription, our subscription numbers to rise.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what we got. We have pictures. I'm telling you, just like a real YouTube show. We have pictures. I'm excited. And we had the camera crew at your place today, and they came back with some of this stuff. First of all, you mentioned some of the stuff you've developed yourself, and some of it is actually products that you can buy. But we're looking at the first one here, Roger. It's the one, I know you don't have a separate monitor where you're at, but what is coming up on the screen is the one with the round sticky disc on it. Will you explain that?
All right. This is one that was purchased. I won't give the brand name simply because they're not buying any time on our shows. So until they buy time, we won't give them a plug that way, but it is available. And what it is, it's a telescopic stick. You can pull it out and it gets longer and longer and longer. And on the end is a yellow disc, if you will, that is made out of a very sticky substance. And you can, for example, pick up small objects, nothing large, but small objects, paper, that sort of thing. And you can pick it up. Let's say you are writing on a piece of paper and the paper slides off the desk. Well, what are we going to do? Wait till the caregiver arrives? By then, you may not want to write the idea, but you can use this, push down on it, pick it up, and put it back on the desk, and then move it. Then the telescopic part of it, you shorten it down and lay it on the desk until you need it again. But then that brings up another question. What if you drop the stick? Now, there's something most people don't think about. But if you're disabled, you will think about it, because if you drop it, you won't be able to get the stick to go ahead and pick up the paper. So if you look on the picture there, and the second stick has a hook on it, which you can use to hook the material and pick it up, especially if you drop both sticks. Now you can use a coat hanger and pick them both up. So everything is designed in my world with a backup system behind it. Now, the second stick that we're looking at now is not only got a hook, but it's got a magnet. And obviously, that is very helpful when it comes to picking up metal objects or objects that have any type of metal in them. And I have many of those around the house that I occasionally drop. But I can take that. Again, it's telescopic. You lengthen it out whatever length you need and get it close enough to it. The magnet is very strong. I do have to keep it away from the computer, but it's very strong, and it will pick up metal objects and where I can pick them up enough that I can get them to a table or desk or whatever and get them disconnected from each other and have picked it up by myself. Now, please know, Michael, you've never seen this operation, but it's not one that happens quickly, okay? Everything I'm describing to you sounds really neat, but it does take time on my part to get it done. So if you have less than 10 minutes before the caregiver gets there, just wait for the caregiver. But if it's longer than that, it might be worth getting this equipment out to get it picked up and back up in use.
So this is part of Roger's toolkit.
Yes.
That you have with you most of the time.
Yeah, well, it's laying on I'm at my desk where I'm sitting right now doing this YouTube video, and I'm here most of the time. And so all the equipment that you're showing them pictures of is here around my desk somewhere, where it's in arm's reach of me, where I can pick it up and use it accordingly.
All right. So what would you call that? Just your hook? Magnetized picker-upper thing?
Yeah, that would be the magnet. And the hook is good. However, if you can afford this object, which is it's not that expensive, but should you not have it available, the next best thing, or just as good, is to take if you can find it, these are hard to find nowadays, but if you find a metal coat hanger, you can untwist it and you can use the hook of a coat hanger to pick up all kinds of things you wouldn't imagine.
Well, anybody our age has metal coat hangers.
Well, yes, yes, but a lot of people don't have them anymore.
All right. Speaking of your own ingenuity.
Yes, let's speak of that.
And when you talk about this next one, I think a lot of people are going to first say the same thing I said when I saw it. But this next thing, I've got the bolt there with the nut on it.
Right.
Explain that.
You would not think that was anything if you didn't know better. But in my world, that's called a paperweight. And what it's used for is not necessarily do I have papers I need to hold down on my desk to keep them from blowing off. But what I need is when I go to sign something, write on something, I don't have the ability to hold the paper with one hand and write with the other hand.
Now, before, Roger, we went on, I said, Roger, why don't you just use a paperweight for a paperweight?
And I said, there's a reason for that. I challenged you. I don't know if you had time to do it or not. I'll challenge our viewers. Look online at the office supply places, Walmart, anywhere you want to look. Look under paperweights. They do have them, but most of them are dome-shaped, and you have to have quite a bit of strength in your hand to pick one up and move it around because it's slick. Well, I don't have that. I can't use a typical normal paperweight. There may be some out there I could, but I haven't found them. So you go down to the hardware store and you buy this bolt and nut routine that you're seeing on the screen. And this allows me, you see, my fingers will fit around that where I can pick it up and move it wherever I need to.
Or the aforementioned hook device that you just talked about would also work there.
Well, and also, if you drop it, which don't do that because it's heavy and it hurts, but if you drop it, it's made out of what? Metal. So guess what you can pick it up with?
Magnet.
The magnet that you
Right.
have. Okay. Now suppose, what happens when you drop the magnet? Now what do? Well, you can take a metal coat hanger or whatever and use it in reverse and use the metal to pick up the magnet. So you can reverse the process and pick the magnet up that way.
You know, Roger, so-called normal people that we talk about
Yes.
may think, what? Really? You know, if you drop something, just pick it up.
Sounds good. Wish I could.
Exactly, which means
But I can't.
whatever you're doing at that moment, if you don't have these little devices that you've already thought it through and you know subtle little changes in them, it can end your day. I mean,
Well, it can,
or until
definitely-
somebody shows up.
Right. Yeah, it definitely ends the project until somebody shows up and lets you fix it up for you.
And that can be frustrating.
Oh yeah, and it could be hours. I mean, depends on how long it's been since the caregiver's been around.
I'm looking. Oh, this is one of my favorites. I've got the thing with the suction cup.
Oh yes, the dart.
A very high-tech device. Now, this is something
Absolutely, very.
that
But I will.
this is something you devised.
Absolutely.
So is this
Now-
patent pending now?
No,
Oh,
no, it wouldn't work if it were,
oh,
because if the older viewers will recognize what that is. That is a dart from a dart pistol, plastic dart from a dart pistol that they used to sell back in
yes.
eons ago.
When they were not politically incorrect.
Right. Now
Yeah.
they are politically incorrect, and you can't find them anywhere now because the Nerf darts that are out there now won't work. You have to have the hard plastic. So it's a good device, but may not be very practical for anyone to find.
Oh man.
However, what do I use that for, you might ask? Go ahead, ask. No,
What?
that's okay.
Hey, Roger, what do you use that for?
I don't know. No, I use it to pick up one specific item, and that's a DVD. Now, when you go to pick up a DVD, your hands will grasp it like that, and
Get up
but
and
when
pick it
I
up.
do it,
Yeah.
when I do it, my thumb or finger ends up on the bottom side, which makes a smudge, which then in turn keeps the thing from playing right.
Holy smoke.
However, with the dart, you simply put the suction cup on it and you pick it up and move it wherever you want to move it to.
I gotta tell the folks, I tested this one. I read and pushed it, and it works great.
Right.
It's perfect.
If you look very closely in the picture, you don't have to look that close. But if you look in the picture, what do you see around the plastic dart? A paper clip.
Yeah.
Why would anyone put a paper clip?
Who
on a
thinks of
plastic
that
dart?
stuff, man?
And
That's
why would they
genius.
need it? Well, why would you need it? Guess what? When you drop the dart, there's nothing to pick that up with, unless you have something metal on it, which you can then use the magnet to pick up the dart off the floor and put it back on the desk.
So everything I've noticed, there's a common thread in everything that you're showing folks here, and that is, what do you do if you drop it?
Absolutely, because you're going to.
Yeah.
We are all going to drop things.
Well, your hands and fingers aren't exactly working like
No,
a lot of the rest of us.
Absolutely, but even more importantly, I can't bend over and pick it up off the floor.
Without falling out of your chair,
Exactly.
maybe. Or
I've
something.
done that. By the way, just in passing, I've done that before. It's no fun.
Oh my.
I have actually reached down to get something and gotten overbalanced, and the wheelchair rolled out from under me. So we
Oh,
don't want
my.
to do that anymore. That day was no fun either. long story, but it was not fun.
Anyway, that deal works. It really works.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
All right.
and works well.
Do you have, does your house get fumigated and do you spray for pests and that sort of thing? I'm asking this for a specific reason.
Well, I know you are, but I don't, because you came in this afternoon, you said.
I have a picture, and this was shot at your office, of what I was told is a tickle me worm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, this was I created the idea with the help of my mother and dad.
Well, I thought I'd never seen one before.
No, you haven't. My mother decided to use the tickle worm part of it because at the time, the Tickle Me Elmo was a major toy on the market.
Oh, you couldn't get them. They were sold out.
And she was amused by that. So she made this into that. What you're looking at, though, is a sock. It has rice on the inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I use it for one specific purpose, and that is I have trouble, which normal people do not have these issues. But when you buy a book, you get a new book, it is stiff. It does not lay open. So how do we deal with that? Because I spend more time trying to keep the book open than I do reading the book.
Yeah.
So you take this sock with the rice inside. The rice adds so I can pick it up easily. It's not hard to pick up, and move it from page to page as I'm reading the book.
You know what? Not just disabled people, but I could use a tickle me worm.
Well,
but I have the same problem. So, you're sitting there at your desk and you're trying to read something and the pages are flying over. And if I had a tickle me worm, it would take care of that.
Problem. Absolutely. It would take care of your problem.
Smoke. And you folks thought this was just for disabled people, but
right. There is some good for everybody. One other thing on the book thing that people may not know, and not that any of you probably care, but you may have friends who are disabled, and this is a little tip that you can do if you choose to.
I'm just sitting here thinking a tickle me worm might be the next big it thing. And we get this out before Christmas. People will be lining up for that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will.
Who doesn't need one of those? I mean,
And the Tickle Me Worm actually will double as one other thing.
Oh, no.
If you take the Tickle Me Worm made as we make them, and you put that in your microwave and let it heat up for about 30 seconds, it makes a great thing to put on your shoulder or your neck that's sore, like a heating pad, except because it's rice, it stays put.
So it can be warm and comfy, and you can literally curl up with your Tickle Me Worm.
Right, and you can keep your book open.
Oh, Roger, man. You know what? It's hard to believe, but we're running out of time on this one. And this is, you folks think that you've heard it all, and then you listen to Roger Dykes Just Saying, you learn things you never knew. And Roger, I think the point here is there are simple solutions that if you have a person that is disabled somewhere in your life, they deal with all of these things, and they may or may not have thought of the things that Roger's sharing with us today. And there is a thing on the intro and outro of this program, how you can contact Roger Dykes and communicate with him. And, you might want to do that if you want to ask Roger some questions, because...
Well, we are looking for people who are looking for answers. We'd like to give them to you if you can on our broadcast here. And one of the things, this came as a result of a person contacting me and asking me how I did certain things.
Yeah.
And we came up with the idea that it'd be good to put 3 or 4 of them together and show them and tell them and let them see what can be done. Things that work for me may not work for your friend or your child or your grandchild, but it maybe give you an idea of something that would.
But the Tickle Me Worm, come on, Roger, that works for everybody.
All right.
We may have a Tickle Me Worm tacked next to our
Jackalope.
jackalope.
I'll help you.
Oh, man, I am telling you. Roger Dykes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate all of our viewers viewing it. And remind them again before we close, please hit the subscribe button. It will help us tremendously.
Amen, brother. You've been listening to Roger Dykes Just Sayin. If you'd like to get a message to Roger, his Facebook account is listed as Roger Dykes. Become a friend, or you can send your questions and comments to rogerdykes51@gmail.com. That's ROGERDYKES51@gmail.com. Our podcast reveals a new episode every 3 weeks. Join us next time for our next episode of Roger Dykes Just Sayin. I'm Michael Shawn. On behalf of Roger Dykes, thanks for listening.